It was a warm, bright morning in early July when Sophie arrived in Barcelona. She had dreamed of this city for months, preparing for her summer internship at a local architecture firm. Her backpack was heavy with essentials: laptop, notebook, guidebook, and a few personal items. At the airport, the smell of coffee, baked goods, and the salty breeze from the nearby sea welcomed her. Sophie took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She was about to live alone in a foreign country for the first time. At the taxi stand, she showed the driver the address of her temporary apartment. Sophie, thinking to herself, "Okay, Sophie, you can do this, one step at a time." First glimpse of the city. The taxi drove through busy streets filled with colorful buildings, small cafes, and people speaking Spanish and Catalan. The architecture amazed her. Every building seemed unique, full of history and character. She noticed street musicians, families riding bicycles, and small markets where locals sold fresh fruits and vegetables. Sophie, this city is even more beautiful than I imagined. I have to explore it later, but first, the apartment. When she arrived, the apartment was cozy but bright, with large windows and a balcony overlooking a quiet street. Her host, Isabel, welcomed her warmly. "Bienvenida, Sophie. I hope you feel at home here. If you need anything, just ask." "Thank you so much. It's perfect." After unpacking, Sophie went to the nearby supermarket to buy some basic groceries: bread, fruit, water, and snacks. She tried speaking Spanish with the cashier. "Hola, una botella de agua, por favor." Cashier: "Claro, that will be 150 euros." Sophie smiled, proud that she managed a simple conversation in Spanish. First night, exploring the neighborhood. After returning to the apartment, Sophie decided to take a short walk around the neighborhood. The streets were alive with people chatting, the smell of fresh pastries, and the sound of distant guitar music. She stopped at a small cafe, ordered a coffee, and watched the city for a while. The mixture of historic buildings and modern shops fascinated her. Even though she was tired from her flight, she felt wide awake, as if the city had given her new energy. Sophie, thinking to herself, "This is just the beginning. Tomorrow the internship starts, and I have no idea what to expect." Preparing for the internship. That night, Sophie prepared her notebook with important information: the address of the firm, names of colleagues she had already met via email, notes about the projects she would assist with, Spanish and Catalan phrases she might need at work. She also set an early alarm for 7 a.m. Tomorrow she would meet her supervisor, Jordi, and the rest of the team. Sophie, thinking to herself, "Okay, Sophie, you can do this, one step at a time." As she turned off the lights, the sounds of Barcelona at night, soft music, distant voices, and the occasional car lulled her into sleep. She dreamed of colorful streets, busy markets, and her first day at the firm. The next morning, Sophie woke up before her alarm. She felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. Today was her first day at the architecture firm, and she wanted to make a good impression. After a quick breakfast of toast and fruit, she double-checked her notebook with notes about the firm, her tasks, and a few Spanish phrases. She packed her laptop, a sketchbook, and some pens in her backpack, then left the apartment. The streets of Barcelona were already busy, with people riding bicycles, scooters, and buses moving quickly. The smell of freshly baked bread mixed with coffee from the cafes. Sophie walked quickly, trying to memorize the way to the office, but she got slightly lost. Sophie, thinking, "Okay, I think I need to ask someone. Don't panic." She approached a local man walking his dog. "Disculpe, ¿Cómo llego a la calle de Arquitectura 12? Ah, sí. Go straight 2 blocks, then turn left. You will see the building. Good luck. Sophie smiled, feeling relieved. Her Spanish was not perfect, but it was enough to get directions. First impressions at the firm. When Sophie arrived at the firm, she was impressed immediately. The building was modern, with large glass windows, open spaces, and creative decorations. Inside, she was greeted by Jordi, her supervisor. Hola, Sophie. Welcome to our team. We are excited to have you here. Thank you, Jordi. I'm really happy to be here. He introduced her to the team. Clara, the senior architect, friendly and talkative. Miguel, a young designer, very focused and organized. Elena, an intern from Italy, who smiled warmly at Sophie. Jordi. Sophie, today you will help with a few sketches for a new project, observe our meetings, and later assist Clara with client presentations. Don't worry, we'll guide you. Sophie nodded, feeling slightly overwhelmed, but also motivated. First tasks: observing and learning. Her first task was to observe a team meeting discussing a new apartment building in the city center. Everyone spoke quickly in Spanish, occasionally switching to English when Sophie asked for clarification. Sophie, thinking. It's hard to follow, but I understand some key points. I can learn quickly. After the meeting, Jordi asked her to create a small sketch of the building layout. Sophie took a deep breath and started working carefully, trying to combine creativity and accuracy. Clara. Sophie, that's a good start. Maybe add more details about the entrance and the windows. You're doing well. Thank you, Clara. I'll update it right away. She felt proud. Even though she was still learning, she realized that her skills and efforts were appreciated. Lunch break and friendship. During lunch, Sophie joined Miguel and Elena in a nearby cafe. They ordered sandwiches, juice, and a small pastry. Elena. Sophie, how do you like Barcelona so far? It's amazing, but a bit overwhelming. There's so much to see, and the language is challenging. Yes, I felt the same when I started, but you'll adapt quickly. Thanks. I hope I can communicate better soon. They talked about their favorite spots in the city, local food, and small hidden places only locals knew. Sophie realized that having friends at work made her feel more confident and less nervous. Afternoon. Client presentation prep. In the afternoon, Sophie helped Clara prepare slides and sketches for a client presentation. She learned how to organize ideas visually, choose colors, and explain designs clearly. Clara. Sophie, when you present, remember to smile, make eye contact, and explain why the design works. Yes, Clara, I will do my best. By the end of the day, Sophie was tired, but satisfied. She had observed, contributed, and even tried speaking more Spanish than before. Evening reflection. Walking back to her apartment, Sophie stopped at a small plaza. The sun was setting, and the city looked magical. Sophie, thinking. Today was challenging, but I learned so much. The team is friendly, the city is beautiful, and I feel like I belong here. This summer will be unforgettable. She wrote in her journal. New Spanish words. Entrada, ventana, plano, cliente. Skills learned. Sketching, observing, presenting. New friends. Elena, Miguel. Exciting thoughts. Explore the city tomorrow. Sophie smiled as she reached her apartment. She knew that each day would bring new challenges, new learning, and new adventures.
The following day, Sophie felt more confident walking to the office. She had learned the best route and even greeted some locals she recognized on the street. The city already felt more familiar, yet every corner seemed to offer something new to discover. At the firm, Jordi had a new assignment for her. assist with a detailed design proposal for a modern apartment complex near the beach. This was her first major task, and Sophie felt both nervous and excited. Jordi, Sophie, you'll help prepare the visual presentation and draft some initial concepts. Take your time and be creative, but remember the client prefers contemporary yet functional designs. Sophie, got it. I'll do my best. She settled at her desk and opened her laptop. Miguel and Elena were already working on sketches, and Clara occasionally came by to give tips. First challenge, design problem. As Sophie started sketching, she realized the complexity of the task. The apartment layout needed to balance space efficiency, aesthetic appeal, and budget constraints. She spent almost 2 hours adjusting dimensions, experimenting with colors, and trying to align her ideas with the team's concepts. Sophie, thinking, okay, I can do this. Focus, pay attention to details, and ask for help if needed. She paused for a moment and discussed a tricky part with Clara. Clara, you're doing well. Maybe consider adding natural lights to the living areas. Clients love bright spaces. Sophie, yes, I see. I'll adjust the windows and layout. Midday break and city exploration. After completing the initial draft, Sophie decided to take a short walk around the neighborhood during lunch. She discovered a small market hidden behind the office building. Vendors sold fresh fruit, pastries, and seafood. Sophie bought a small baguette and a piece of Spanish cheese. She practiced Spanish phrases with the vendor. Sophie, hola, ¿cuánto cuesta este queso? Vendor, 2 euros. Sophie, gracias. The brief interaction made her feel more connected to the city. Walking back to the office, she noticed a small street artist painting a mural and paused to admire the work. She realized that Barcelona was full of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Afternoon. Team collaboration. Back at the firm, the team gathered to review the draft proposal. Clara, Jordi, Miguel, and Elena discussed the design and gave constructive feedback. Sophie listened carefully, taking notes and occasionally suggesting ideas. Jordi, Sophie, your concept for the balcony garden is excellent. It adds both beauty and functionality. Sophie, thank you. I thought it could create a relaxing space for residents. The team appreciated her input, which boosted her confidence. She realized that contributing, even as an intern, could have a real impact. Evening cultural experience. After work, Sophie decided to explore Las Ramblas, one of Barcelona's most famous streets. Street performers, colorful flowers, and small shops filled the promenade. She tried churros with chocolate at a small cafe and took photos of the architecture and lively atmosphere. She also noticed the mixture of tourists and locals, realizing how vibrant and multicultural the city was. Sophie, thinking, every day here is an adventure. Work is challenging, but the city offers endless inspiration. On her way home, she passed a small plaza where musicians played flamenco music. She stopped for a few minutes listening to the rhythm and watching the dancers. The experience reminded her that living abroad was not just about work. It was about culture, creativity, and new perspectives. Night reflection. Back in her apartment, Sophie reflected on the day. She updated her journal with new words and phrases, notes on architectural techniques and cultural observations. Sophie's thoughts. Today's design challenge taught me patience and problem solving. Interacting with locals helps me practice Spanish every day. Barcelona has endless inspiration for architecture and art. Tomorrow, I want to explore more neighborhoods and sketch outdoor spaces. She felt tired but fulfilled. Living abroad was not easy, but Sophie realized that each day brought new learning opportunities, both professionally and personally. The following morning, Sophie woke up feeling slightly anxious. Today was important. She would present her design concepts to a client for the first time. Her hands trembled slightly as she packed her laptop and notebook. She reminded herself to stay calm and confident, knowing that preparation and observation over the past days had prepared her well. On the way to the office, she practiced her Spanish phrases under her breath. Buenos días. El diseño incluye espacios abiertos y jardines en el balcón. Her pronunciation was not perfect, but it was understandable. She smiled at a nearby cafe owner who returned her greeting warmly. First client presentation. At the firm, Jordi and Clara were already setting up the meeting room. The client, a well-known real estate developer, arrived promptly at 10 a.m. Sophie felt her heart race as she saw him walk in. Jordi: "Good morning. This is Sophie, our intern. She helped prepare the sketches and presentation." Sophie: "Good morning. It's a pleasure to meet you." The presentation began. Sophie stood by her sketches, explaining the concept of the apartment complex. She pointed out efficient use of space, balcony gardens for natural light and relaxation, sustainable materials for energy efficiency. The client asked questions in Spanish, and Sophie carefully responded with help from Jordi and Clara when necessary. Client: "I like the balcony garden idea, but what about the layout of the kitchen? Can it be more open?" Sophie: "Yes, absolutely. I suggest removing a wall and combining the kitchen with the living area. This creates a larger, brighter space." The client nodded approvingly. After 30 minutes, the presentation concluded. Sophie felt relief and pride. She had communicated her ideas clearly and professionally. Afternoon team collaboration and mini crisis. After the presentation, Sophie returned to her desk to make revisions based on client feedback. Miguel accidentally deleted part of her sketch file, causing a brief panic. "Miguel, the file, it's gone." Miguel: "Oh no, I'm so sorry. Let's see if we can recover it." They worked together, trying different recovery methods while Clara guided them patiently. After an hour, they successfully restored the file. Sophie breathed a sigh of relief. Sophie thought, even small mistakes can be stressful, but teamwork makes everything manageable. Evening, city exploration and cultural experience. Feeling the need to unwind, Sophie decided to explore the Gothic Quarter after work. Narrow streets, historic buildings, and hidden plazas fascinated her. She discovered a small tapas bar where she tried patatas bravas and jamón ibérico for the first time. She also visited Plaza San Jaume, taking photos of the medieval architecture. A street musician played the guitar nearby, creating a relaxed and artistic atmosphere. Sophie noticed a small art gallery and decided to go in. She admired the paintings and sketches, taking notes for inspiration in her own architectural designs. Sophie thought, Barcelona is not just a city to work in, it's a city to observe, learn from, and feel inspired by every day. Reflection and future plans. Back in her apartment, Sophie updated her journal. Lessons from the client presentation. Confidence, preparation, clear communication. Teamwork and problem-solving during the mini crisis. New phrases learned in Spanish. Cocina abierta, materiales sostenibles, espacios luminosos. Cultural observations. Gothic Quarter, tapas, street art, architecture. Sophie thought, this experience is teaching me more than I imagined. Work is challenging, the city is inspiring, and each day brings new opportunities to grow. Tomorrow, I want to sketch outdoor spaces and explore the beach area for ideas. She smiled as she looked out the window at the city lights. Barcelona felt alive, vibrant, and full of possibilities. Sophie knew that her summer would continue to be full of learning, adventure, and unforgettable moments.